Hello everyone and welcome to Until the End of Time. My name is Werner. Sorry I haven't been posting anything recently. I'm going to get back into it, but right now I could not wait with what I had planned to not show you this. Now, important, what I'm about to show you are leaks from the Investigator Starter Decks. Now that means that they have not been officially previewed by FFG or people FFG approved of. These are people who got the packs early, very early, as these packs are supposed to be released in August. If that bothers you, please turn away now. I am uploading these because I know a lot of people have already seen them, and I think it's wrong if part of the community gets to see them and the rest doesn't. And I want to give my first reactions. But if you do not want to see these cards, please turn away now. Okay, with that out of the way, let's talk about the cards. So first up, we have Arbiter of Fates. This is Jacqueline Fine's signature card. It basically is what we expected. I want to see if I can make this a little bit bigger. Looks like I can't really. Yeah, there we go. That's better. Okay, it's basically what we expected because we could already see part of her signature previewed in the starter deck. So it does not take up the arcane slot, and it reads. It's a 3-cost asset that reads reaction. When you use Jacqueline Fine's reaction ability, exhaust Arbiter of Fates. This use of her ability does not count towards its limit. Now, if you remember, Jacqueline Fine's ability is you look at. When you would reveal a Chaos token, you look at 3 tokens, and you either cancel 2 non-autofill tokens or the autofill token. With Arbiter of Fates, you basically get to use it twice. Okay, awesome. I should point out I'm not doing a lot of the preview because I want to just get this video out there real quick. Next card is the card. Actually, I'm going to skip that one real quick because while we're on the Jacqueline train, let's talk about Dark Future, which is going to be Jacqueline's signature weakness. Revelation, put it into play your threat area. You cannot cancel or ignore Elder Sign, Skull, Cultist, Tablet, Elder Thing, and Autofill tokens. So that's pretty bad because Jacqueline's ability lets you cancel tokens, but now you can't. And more importantly, if you reveal multiple of these tokens, you might not be able to cancel any tokens at all. Like if you use Jacqueline's ability, you reveal Skull, Skull, Cultist, you're now revealing Skull, Skull, Cultist. That being said, there is a way to get rid of it. Forced, at the end of your turn, reveal 5 random tokens from the Chaos bag. If an Elder Sign symbol is revealed, discard Dark Future. So this card seems very tricky. The problem here is that that force effect is something you can't really rely on very easily because you might get it, you might not. The trick here is going to be seeing how many multiple token reveal effects you can cram into your deck, basically, because you can use Jacqueline's ability on this forced effect. You could use something like Olive McBride. So there are ways around it, but we're gonna have to see if those options are enough. This is a tricky card. Next up is the card that I am probably the most excited about from any card we've seen in a long time. Ladies and gentlemen, and other people, it's called By the Mist. It is Stella's signature weakness, and if you've been watching this channel for a while, you know I really, really like Stella. Revelation, put Called by the Mist into play in your threat area. Forced, after you initiate a skill test with a difficulty of 4 or higher, take 1 damage. Action, discard Called by the Mist. Wow, it's easy. It's so nice. This is not a weakness that's going to wreck you. This is a weakness that you're going to be able to handle. You have 8 health as Stella, so you'll be fine. You have difficulty 4 or higher, unless you're doing like Drawn Thin or Quick Learner shenanigans, you probably won't be doing a difficulty 4 or higher test every turn. On top of that, the damage is it's not direct damage, it's just damage. And you're a survivor, you have leather coat if you need it. And to top it all off, you can just action and clear this thing. So yeah, this is a card where I'm really happy because it's really weak. Or rather, it's not super punishing. Therefore, it's going to be very nice for Stella players. Just don't have to worry about your weaknesses. You'll be fine. Or rather, this weakness, because, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm rambling a bit because I'm super excited about this card, as you can probably tell. But basically, when this thing hits you, you might take 1 or 2 damage, which is something you're probably okay with, because Stella does not care. And then, at some point, you might want to get rid of it. You have extra action built into your Investigator, so that's fine. And, you can see if you need to deal with it, maybe you don't need to, so I'm just so happy. This card is so amazing. I'm so glad it's not too bad. Okay, moving along, we now have the first, so that was the second batch of leaks. We also have here the first batch of leaks. I'm going to open all of these real quick. They're all Guardian cards, and they're all level 0 Guardian cards from the Nathaniel Cho deck. These were leaked on Facebook. If more leaks show up, obviously I will be posting them, but we'll be talking. I'm talking about these so far. Okay, so we have Boxing Gloves that we've already seen. I'm going to ignore that one. One of the new cards, Flesh Ward, which is disturbing, though awesome art. A 3-cost asset with a single willpower icon. It's a ritual. It takes up the arcane slot, which is unusual for Guardian, and it does not have a lot of competition. It uses 4 charges, and it has a reaction. When you are dealt damage and or horror from an enemy attack, exhaust Flesh Ward and expend a charge, cancel 1 damage or horror just dealt from that attack. It has 1 health and 1 sanity soak as well. I'm of 2 minds with this card. On the one hand, I like the ability to have what is essentially 6 damage and horror if you get full use out of this card, all 4 charges plus the soak for 3 resources. That's a good deal. The problem is that it exhausts. So in order to get the full value from this card, you're going to have to get it into play early and you're going to have to use it a lot while you get punched by enemies a lot. Which is not necessarily something I want. Now, if you are getting punched by enemies a lot, having this would be nice. So maybe there's like a Tommy deck that likes this to just ignore probably the horror. If you have allies with lots of health, you can just ignore a little bit of horror. And then you can use this to, you know, soak enemy attacks, kind of drag enemies around maybe, use dynamite blast, stuff like that. I like it. I think it's tricky. I'm hoping there's maybe an upgraded version of this that does just a little bit more, because just the fact that it exhausts, right? You need to use this for 4 consecutive turns for it to do something, and just I'm not sure how often that's going to happen. Next up, we have Greta Wagner. She's the Purifier, and she was in the fan out, so that's why we kind of know that this is probably legit leaks. 5-cost asset, intellect and combat icon, ally hunter traded. She takes up the ally slot. You get +1 combat. Reaction, after you defeat an enemy, exhaust her and deal 1 damage to her. Discover 1 clue at your location. 3 damage, or 3 health, 2 sanity. Holy cow. Solo Guardians, take note. Personally, I think this card is amazing. It does everything Guardians want out of an ally and more. It gives you combat, it has soak, and it gives you clues, something that Guardians have really struggled with. This is 3 evidences stuck onto a reasonable body for a very high cost. I'll grant you that, but there are ways around that. If you are Leo Anderson, you can put her into play for 4. If you are Tommy, you will get resources back when she dies. This is a big card. This is a big deal. So previously, I've seen a lot of people run Beat Cop level 0, which I personally don't think is that great of a card. I mean, I've run it myself, but as it turns out, you never want to really activate that ability on Beat Cop level 0. And at that point, it's just 4 cost for the +1 combat. This is 5 costs, sure, but it actually has a really strong ability attached to it. Now, obviously, if you don't want to go that expensive, you could go Guard Dog instead, which I think is also a fine choice. But we are also about to see a couple more Econ cards in Guardian, so I'm thinking Greta should make it into a lot of decks. Also, it's worth pointing out that between this, actual evidence, and scene of the crime, Guardians have a lot of way to bypass the shroud value of locations, which might get interesting. If you have, a rogue or seeker who's pretty good at getting clues at low shroud locations, you could kind of divide up the challenges and have your Guardian just kill enemies at the high shroud locations to get the clues without testing. Okay. Next up, we got Get Over Here, Glory, and Monster Slayer. All new cards. Well, Get Over Here, we've seen the upgraded Get Over Here, which I believe lets you get an enemy from several locations away, and was also fast. This version is level 0, 2 cost, a willpower and combat icon, spirited tactic traded, it's an event, and it has an engage and fight as bold keywords. It choose a non-elite enemy at your location or a connecting location, move that enemy to your location, engage it, and attack it. So for 1 action, you get to drag an enemy from a connecting location or engage from another investigator or whatever, engage it with you, and then punch it. Great in Nathaniel. It's actually probably great in a lot of investigators, because as it turns out, if you are playing kind of the bodyguard style Guardian and you just want to protect your team, this is perfect for when the Seeker's off in the next location and you don't want to have to move over there, engage that enemy, and then start murdering them. You can just go, get over here, murder them once, or punch them once, and then kill them with your next attack. It seems, it's action efficiency, it's really nice. I think it's going to see some play. Glory is a 1 cost 0 XP event with 2 intellect icons, which I think should be mentioned. This card has 2 intellect icons. Fast. Play after you defeat an enemy, draw 2 cards. It has the spirit trait, should not forget that. This card is pretty good. So the tricky thing is that you are trading the card Glory and a resource for 2 cards. Would like it to have been 3 cards, not gonna lie. But this is also not bad, right? It's fast, it comes card draw, that's nice in Guardian. The fact that this has 2 intellect icons definitely pushes it over the like playability threshold for me, where if you don't need to, you don't need to get some card draw, you can always just use this to pass an intellect test, which, seems decent. Next up, Monster Slayer level 0. Now, some of you might remember Monster Slayer level 5, which was a card from the Dunwich Legacy, which hasn't seen a lot of play, which is a 5 XP card that is a fight action that automatically kills a non-elite enemy when you hit with it. This is different. So it's a 0 cost, 0 XP, 1 wild icon, spirit traded again, fight, this attack deals +1 damage. This card is interesting. It's basically got Nathaniel Cho deck only written on it at the moment, I think, because there's not really... I can't really think of a lot of reasons to run it over something like Vicious Blow. That being said, in Nathaniel it seems pretty good, right? It's an event which you're gonna need a critical threshold of events just to make sure that you can reliably trigger your ability, and then this becomes an extra good Vicious Blow because you can use this to take an attack that deals 3 damage. So yeah, I like it in him. I don't necessarily know if I'm gonna play it in a lot of other guys. What somebody in the Discord did point out is that this is a +1 damage attack that doesn't require you to play a weapon, which is kind of interesting. But again, you also had Vicious Blow, so maybe not. We'll have to see. If there's a lot more support for the Spirit keyword, which notably Boxing Gloves cares about the Spirit keywords, lets you find cards with Spirit keyword, maybe this card gets a little more play. 1-2 Punch we already saw. We have Stand Together level 0 and the confirmed reprint of Vicious Blow level 0. I'll talk about the new cards. Stand Together level 0 is a 0 cost event with a single willpower icon, spirit traded. Choose another investigator at your location. Both you and that investigator gain 2 resources. Now, Stand Together is level 3, is a card that gives you and another investigator both 2 resources and 2 cards. This one drops the card draw aspect, but is arguably, it's not better, I'm not going to say that, but the thing is that you don't have to spend XP on this, and it's Guardian Economy, right? This is economy you can play turn 1, give yourself and your teammate a little bit of a better start, and you'll have the money to play, your expensive assets, your expensive ally, your guns, everything. I like it. It's 1 more resource than Emergency Cash, but of course you don't get the full map, you get half of it. So we're going to have to see how that plays out. I feel like it's a pretty good card though. Definitely something the rogue in your party is going to like. And then finally we have confirmed reprint of Physical Training, and we have 2 more new cards, Relentless and Safeguard. Relentless is a 0 cost, 0 XP asset, combat and agility icons. It is a talent. Reaction, when you deal excess damage to an enemy, exhaust Relentless, place that excess damage on Relentless. Fast action, discard Relentless, gain resources equal to the amount of damage on it. This is unusual. Now, I'm not entirely sure, but I'm pretty sure that by putting the damage on Relentless, it is not going anywhere else. So notably, if you are fighting against swarms, which are a thing in the Dream Eaters campaign, you probably won't be able to overkill the swarms and also power up Relentless. So the question is, how good is this? Well, that's kind of hard to tell. Obviously, most players don't like dealing excess damage, and excess damage is often a thing you try to avoid as a Guardian. You don't want to spend your expensive ammo and big guns on a small fry, but sometimes you have to, and this does give you some amount of money for doing so. The tricky thing is going to be seeing how you make that work and how much money this ends up giving you, because you do have to discard it when you activate the bottom ability. So, it's tricky. I think in Nathaniel I'll definitely try it out because he's pretty liable to deal overkill damage because you can turn his ability into +1 damage, which might just mean that if you're using an event against a 1 HP enemy, you might just turn his ability into 1 damage on Relentless, which gives you +1 resource down the line. So that's pretty good. And then we have perhaps the most exciting card in the entire pack so far, Safeguard level 0. Now, Safeguard is a card from Dream Eaters. It was 2 XP, and it let you follow investigators as they moved. This one does something similar. So it's still an asset, 2 XP, or 2 resources, 0 XP, willpower icon, talent, reaction. After another investigator moves from what I presume is from your location to a connecting location, exhaust Safeguard, move to that location. So the other Safeguard lets you move for the remainder of that investigator's turn, essentially. This one only gives you a single move, but this one's 0 XP. This is going into a lot of Guardian decks, let me tell you. Just the ability to get some number of free moves is pretty valuable. Pathfinder's shown us that that ability is very good, just action compression. And this is still 2 resources, so it's not too bad to incur economy issues. It just lets you follow, your seekers, or maybe, your weaker, less combat-oriented investigators around, so that when the punching has to start, you're close by. I think, especially in higher player counts, I don't see a reason to cut this ever, because you're always going to have somebody moving around that you want to follow and just go, oh, well, this allows me to reposition just a little bit better. So super excited about Safeguard. So that wraps up the new cards so far. Thank you very much for watching. I will post a link to the Imgur album. I will also make sure to update that album if we get more leaks. So far, we haven't seen any reliable source on whether or not the people who have leaked so far will be leaking more. But I'll obviously be posting. I'll probably post it in the comments as well if we see a lot more cards. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll be seeing you until the end of time.